As you prepare for sentencing, I want you to learn from my friend David Moulder, who lives in Minnesota. David called our team last February when he was on the Bureau of Prisons website trying to learn more about the federal prison camp in Duluth, Minnesota, which is now closed. And while he was on the homepage of the website, he came across an article featuring my friend and business partner, Michael Santos, who served 26 years in prison, a very long time. And he was surprised and compelled that the Bureau of Prisons was endorsing some dude, as he said, who was in prison for a very long time. From there, he did a simple Google search of Michael Santos, and these interviews came up where Michael Santos is interviewing judges like Judge Bennett and Judge Bough. Now, we've interviewed and interacted with dozens of judges, 2 of whom had the courage to come on YouTube. So David watches both of these interviews with the judges, and he's fascinated by the content. Judge Bennett said the nuts and bolts of the work has to come from the defendant. He's like, that's fundamentally different than I'm hearing from my lawyers who tell me to get off the internet. There's nothing I need to do. The probation interview is a 15-minute interview. Before sentencing, you'll get a few character reference letters and you'll make a short statement and that's it. We've got the rest covered. He's like, Judge Bennett's giving me a different message, nuts and bolts of the work. He then said he watched the interview with Judge Bough. And these are interviews you should watch. We profile them every week on our weekly webinar, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. I said, well, what was compelling to you about the Judge Bough interview? He's like, well, where do I start? I watched it 5 times. Okay, 5 times. What stood out to you most? I'll tell you. Judge Bough said, if you break my window, don't tell me sorry. Tell me how you're going to fix the window. What would you like to do, David? I'd like to start to fix the window because the government's trying to label me the kingpin. I signed a plea agreement I don't fully agree with, and I'm on a one-way path to a 4-year federal prison sentence, which is my guidelines. I'd like to do better. I'd like to create. I'd like to be part of the solution. I'd like to fix the window. Where do you suggest we start? I'd like to somehow demonstrate that I'm different than the government's version of events. I am different, but I know it's no good if I say it. I need to document it. I want all of you to assess what David just said. He watched the videos, and rather than just watch them and think, well, that doesn't apply to me. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. I'll get around to it. He immediately took action. He became the CEO of his own life, leading and creating and building somehow, some way to avoid federal prison or at least get the shortest sentence possible. From there, because he found Michael through the Bureau of Prisons website, he said, I'd love to begin volunteering for the Prison Professors Charitable Corporation. Now, our Preparing for Success After Prison course is a Bureau of Prisons course. It is a First Step Act approved program, meaning prisoners who complete it earn time credits. And it's really because of my partnership of 26 years in prison and has such a remarkable record that he cultivated this relationship with the Bureau of Prisons and other prison systems. So David said, I'd like to volunteer. From there, he sat for an incredible interview with Michael Santos, an organic 90-minute interview where Michael asks questions. He learns about his background, his life, the business he built. And from that interview, a comprehensive course was created that gets distributed to more than 1 million people in prisons and jails. Think about that for a moment. He was able to leverage off the 26 years my partner served in prison to create a valuable asset that has influenced more than 1 million people in prison. From there, after creating the course, he got more vested with the nonprofit, offering insights, suggestions on growing our board, our website, Prison Professor Talent, which is a website that allows you to document your journey from investigation to sentencing in prison at no cost. White Collar Advice is the first and initial funder of Prison Professors. We are so thankful that people like CZ, Massimo, Bill McGlashan, and others support the nonprofit, but I was the initial funder through White Collar Advice a long time ago, and we still fund it. Prison Professor Talent is where you should be documenting your journey at no cost to you, sharing it with your judge, sharing it with your probation officer, sharing it with your case manager. That's what David did. In addition, we wrote the initial draft of his case study, as we like to call it. Why did we write it early, 10, 11 months before he was sentenced? It's clear. The government was trying to label him a kingpin. They were trying to label him as some career cheat and thief, even though in the totality of his life he had been incredibly successful, and this was a little blip. But David knew the prosecutors, their goal or objective is to advance their career, to focus on the one bad thing this person has done. Certainly they're not going to put him or you in the best light. They have a career to advance. So he said, I want to write it, but I want to lay out a vision of what I'll do moving forward. And then when I do it, we can write it again and we can measure this progress and growth over a sustained period of time. So we have the nonprofit influencing 1 million people. We write out this life story. We prepare properly for the probation interview, despite his lawyer saying that it's a 10 or 15-minute interview. We prepare properly, meaning he showed up to this interview with this asset or case study that previously did not exist. And at the interview, he said, I understand you're very busy, and I'm grateful that you're seeing me today. I'm going to be truthful with you. I'm going to answer every question. I'm never going to lie to you. I know you're busy, though I'd be so grateful if you would take a few minutes to write or read an extensive letter that I wrote. where you learn more about me, where I'm from, how I got here, how I'm making amends, and what I'll do moving forward. Is it okay if I share that with you in a couple of days? The probation officer said, sure. We didn't want to overwhelm the probation officer on that day. We set the stage through good preparations that it was coming. 2 days later, we send this case study or narrative. We then ask the probation officer to insert it into the completed probation report, which she did, and there's value in that. Why? One, when your judge reads the probation interview at your sentencing hearing, and if this document is inserted, he can see, or he or she can see, as he did with David, how seriously he took this interview, that 8, 9, 10 months before sentencing, he invested the time to create this asset and share it with his probation officer. So it shows the judge how seriously he took it. 2, it influenced the recommendation the probation officer made because of good messaging, good, honest messaging. Then when we updated and rewrote the narrative at sentencing to reflect all of the progress between the probation report and sentencing, including the nonprofit work, including all of the letters that we cultivated, including speaking with me at universities like USC, my alma mater, he was able to build a record that shows why he's different than their version of events, becoming part of the solution. As I close the case study of David Moulder, I'll say to you, he got very vested in working with his lawyers. About 6 weeks before sentencing, he sent them a message. Now, for transparency, our team ghost wrote some of those messages on his behalf. As he said to me, I'm not a criminal. I've never been in trouble before. I don't know how to hold a criminal defense attorney accountable. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to ask. I'm in the dark. All they've said is you're probably going to get a guideline sentence, as every other defendant has in this case. From there, writing these emails proved to them that he was going to be vested. He was going to advocate for himself 6 weeks before the memo was even due. What does it look like? I'd like to be involved. When will I get a draft? What is going to make this memorandum unique and different than the 100 other memorandums this judge has seen this week? Have you reviewed my character reference letters? Do they stand out? Why are they unique? How do they speak to my character? I want to be vested. I want to be involved. By getting vested and involved in taking control of his own life, the lawyers, I believe, spent more time, and they created an asset, this memo that included all of the evidence or assets that he had created. And as he approached his sentencing hearing, he said to me, whatever happens at sentencing, I know that I live with dignity in front of my children. I know that I've responded well to a situation that I alone created. I know I may go to prison, but I just take some pride knowing I've done all I can to prepare. And I'm ready. Frankly, I'm excited to get sentenced because I'll finally have some clarity. Waiting in this limbo time has been incredibly difficult for me, but I'm ready for whatever happens. Our team worked with David on his allocution statement, which was much shorter, 2 paragraphs, compared to the 10, 15-page letter that our team created. You're not going to read a letter like that at sentencing. We wrote a couple of paragraphs. And I believe if you've done the mitigation work, the judge is already going to be influenced in a good way if you've done that work, influenced by your lawyer, the probation officer, but more so from you. A couple of sentences, and as soon as David was done speaking, the judge said, I'm going to do something unusual here. And he sentenced him to 1 year probation and 21 days in a county jail. It's funny, David was sentenced in December. He texts me and says, it's never been so hard to go to jail. He's trying to get the 21 days out of the way, but he can't. I want you to be like David Moulder, with whom you can speak. He's happy to speak with you about his experience, the white collar advice, and prison professors. I want you to be like David. I just don't want you to watch the video with the judges. I want you to say, whether my lawyer's for it or not, I want to do exactly what a federal judge just told me I should do. I want to fix the window. I want you to be like David and hold your lawyers accountable. Get vested in your memorandum. Have some tough conversations. It may be difficult today, but deal with a little bit of pain so you don't endure this lasting regret that follows a government investigation. I've been through it. I know that it's difficult. And if you're able to do this work, I'm of the opinion, not only are you living more productively and your family's watching and they're proud of you, you get more of what you want. It's the only reason you're on this channel. It's the only reason you've come across white collar advice. You're going through crisis and you want a better outcome at every stage. If you want to do that, speak to David. Do what he did. Create something today that does not exist and share it with really cynical stakeholders, and you'll benefit for a long time to come. Be like David. Thank you for joining our community. Join our next webinar Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern.